Welcome to the Reciprocity Podcast with AG. Your host is Andrew Gadomski, and the show is a compilation of shared thoughts and experiences that impact lives with grace and authenticity. AG spent 15 years residing as an interim workforce analyst for Fortune 500 employers who provide financial and/or healthcare services, supply chain access, or consumer basic needs. In 2022, he swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and faithfully discharge his duties in the coveted role of a senior operations research analyst.
Hi, everybody. This is Andrew Gadomski, and welcome to the Reciprocity Podcast. Today, I'll be interviewing and sharing with Sean Sheppard. Sean and I have known each other for a long time and certainly admire his leadership and innovation. So, Sean, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, brother. Always fun to be with you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So, why don't you give us your elevator story here?
30 years as a serial tech entrepreneur from Silicon Valley, 3 exits, 3 venture funds, started the world's first product market fit startup accelerator, and a school focused on helping educate talent to work in startups in Silicon Valley called GrowthX and GrowthX Academy. 4 years ago, I bought a significant stake in a corporate venture builder called U+. In the last 2 years since then, we've transformed the business from a services business to a software business using AI to automate most of the work we're doing around venture building and innovation. And that's been challenging, but also a lot of fun. And looks like we'll be coming out the other side stronger than we were before. So that's exciting. We left California about 4 years ago, moved to Montana, very close to where our kids are going to college. And as you know, if I've got free time, I'm playing golf.
That's right. So how's your handicap?
It's all right. Still floating around scratch.
I don't know how you do it, man. I had a 1.6 for a while, but I don't play enough. Well, you live on a golf course.
I think the key is to play a golf course with a very high course rating because they're much more giving to your scores. Especially when you travel and then you play easy courses and then you shoot really low numbers. Having a low handicap is not a good thing. You know that. We get pencil whipped by our friend.
I love that my handicap went up to like a 7 or whatever.
I would be a really good. I'd be a really strong 5.
All right, let's get into it. So the first question is around leadership. Talk about a trait or technique you've learned about from someone else and how you've executed it for success.
I think probably from my father, who was an officer at Intel for 30 years. I was lucky enough to watch how he operated. More than anything else, it's leading from the middle. Okay. Demonstrating that you are willing and able to do the same job that anyone else is willing to do. Nothing's beneath you, and that you have the emotional intelligence and empathy to support and understand these people, listen to them, and to manage personalities and difficult conversations in a non-threatening way. Especially in today's day and age, I think I'll just be honest and say it, I think we just have thinner skin now than we've ever had. And so communicating and managing emotions and people is more fragile and delicate now than maybe it ever has been. Mm-hmm. And then around all of that, I really, in the last decade, dove in heavily into Stoicism and Stoic philosophies and try to use those every day in my own life and in my work and impart them not through necessarily proselytizing Stoicism as this great virtue or set of virtues, but just sort of in my behavior, right? When things are difficult for everyone, as the leader, you need to be the one that's the most stoic and calm, right? Yeah. It's easy to be a captain in smooth waters, but what's it like when the storm hits and how do you react to that? So I try to pay very close attention and be mindfully aware of how I react more than how I act. Hopefully that spills over to the people around me. And then I think the other thing is you genuinely have to love and care about the people you work with, and they have to believe in that.
I love that.
They see that, they'll go
Well,
a little, they'll go the extra mile.
that's right. When you lead through those troubled waters and you care at the same time, the reaction and the proactivity is excellent. Okay, tell me about a food that you make or buy from others that you believe makes them feel love from you, or tell me about a food that you've received that did the same for you.
Wow. To me, comfort food is leftovers. Growing up, we didn't have a whole lot. My mom would make a crock pot on a Sunday, and we would eat that until it was gone, sometimes 3-4 meals a day. So when my wife makes a pot of chili on a Sunday, she'll have one bowl and I'll eat it all week. And she thinks I'm crazy, right? That kind of stuff causes misunderstandings. But I think anything that is made by someone with you in mind, the way you want it, is special.
Love that.
I have dietary restrictions, for example, for physical reasons. There's certain things I can't eat, and somebody recognizes that in advance. I won't bring it up. I'll just power through it or try to eat around it and not say anything. But if they do it proactively, that means a lot.
That's awesome. I love that. It's being deliberate and planning around it. One of the things that Shara does is she's very conscious of not what's going to make people feel good, but what allergens or methods do they like to eat? And then this way it creates that, especially given the healthcare situation our country tends to be in, you want to help. And that's one of the ways to do it.
Sugar is the enemy.
Sugar's the enemy. I'll talk to you about corn syrup story after we're off recording. Okay, mental focus. How do you keep that focus at work, and where did that model come from?
So you've known me forever, but for the benefit of the audience, I've got radical ADHD, always have. And the easiest way for me to calm it down is either through substance abuse or physical exercise. And I found that both work in their own way. Just kidding. Well,
it's not a PG show, everybody.
All right. No, but honestly, I've learned that physical activity helps my mental acuity, right? So I'm always on the move. I'm walking and talking. I'm trying to give myself little mini breaks from here to there. I've learned some things over the years from scientists and researchers about these micro sprints that you can do, and then these call it a power nap or just a 10-minute break, or get outside and walk around or do something physical. I try to do plyometric exercise at home when I get up in the morning, sit ups and push-ups, and I try to hit the gym 3 days a week because I'm older now. I'm 52. I got to try and, it's harder to stay in shape now than it was when we were 32.
Totally harder.
So the physical aspect, right? The oxygen to the brain, right? Dr. John Medina's brain rules, things like that I've followed. James Clear's Atomic Habits. There's some good tidbits in there as well. But the other aspect of all of that is I've learned through my experiences that in life, we find what we focus on. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a predetermined amount of time or effort attached to that focus. It's really about focusing on the thing, right? What's the one thing that you want out of what you're doing? And if I can do that, those things tend to manifest themselves.
Next one. Movie, play, musical, poem, or book. Which speaks to you, and have you experienced more than once? Did someone recommend it to you? Who did it?
I found Robert Greene, the author, and he's written a lot of pretty interesting books. A very controversial one called The 48 Laws of Power. He's written The Art of Seduction, The Art of War, some others around that. My favorite one is The Laws of Human Nature. I think he does a great job of holistically framing how humans are and how we tend to behave and react and just operate. And it means a lot to me because it helps me deal with other people and better understand why people do what they do. Because really, at the end of the day, it has very little to do with you. It has to do with them.
Yeah.
And by understanding that, boy, I've gotten a lot of my own, I've been able to cut a lot of drama and toxicity out of my life and recognize the kinds of people I want to be around, not be around. I refer back to it all the time because it helps me ground myself in what's going on with other humans and why it's affecting me, if at all. And so that's been one for a long time now that's really helped guide me.
Thank you for that. You'll be good at this one. Briefing out now. It's not every day that we get all kinds of time to execute the brief and get everything in a row. Sometimes we got to go to a senior executive or a board, and you've got to organize your thoughts quickly. What do you do to prepare for that? What mindset do you need to have so you can brief out right now? And what would you share with others to help them do that?
I need a pen and a piece of paper, and I need to write an outline focused on the key actionable insights that I want to impart. I think about Essentialism, Key Takeaways, another great book by Greg McKeown. What are the top three things, for example? And I usually start with the three. So what are the top three messages that I want to get across, right? And then I always want to do it with a growth mindset, right? What did we learn? What should we do about it? That's how I start to organize my thoughts. If it needs to translate into a deck, it's 1 point per slide, and it's the key takeaways. And that helps me a lot, whether it's a meeting or it's just processing and digesting information, or it's briefing that out to somebody else or a group of people.
Excellent. Okay. When you were growing up, whether it was primary, secondary, a professional or personal class, which one did you raise your hand the most?
Usually history or social studies. I'm a big amateur history buff. I love learning about different cultures, societies, and anthropologies. I love trying to understand how individuals work versus groups versus larger groups. I love the complexity of humanity, just generally speaking. Any and everything to do with people and interacting with humans, I think, has always been, which gets me the most, excited and engaged.
Just get that hand up. Community or conflict? How do you create it amongst a team, or how do you diffuse to strengthen that connectiveness? So pick one.
Yeah, building community should be centered around some sort of common vision, goal, or mission statement, right? What does that look like? And how does it align with everyone's self-interest? Because at the end of the day, we're all humans and we all act in our own self-interest no matter what we say or do. It's human nature to act in one's own self-interest. To not be selfish is a very selfish act. Because you have to be intentional about it. So try to understand everyone's self-interest and gain alignment around the set of things that matter most. Communicate that in a way that gains that alignment, and allowing everyone else to feel heard and recognized throughout that process is also super important to building community.
Next one. You can reference U+ as much as you want, but what tech do you think will be retired almost completely? And I don't care what the space is. You can talk about healthcare, construction. You can talk about communication methodology, anything. What's going to be gone?
That's a good question. I can tell you what I hope it is.
Yeah.
Censorship at scale.
Interesting.
Anything that's going to block the ability for people to be more honest and open and transparent and collaborative and supportive and interactive drives me up a wall.
So maybe that's social misinformation versus social truth sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Maybe it's things like anything that prevents or limits individual thought or freedoms also bothers me a lot.
The next one. How have you helped another colleague struggling with work-life balance?
By telling them it's a myth. I think it's an attitude, really, Andrew. I think of work-play balance.
Okay.
And I think you need the right amount of play to benefit the work and for you to be free from the work.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. I've never been able to separate the two. Just ask anybody who's close to me, right? I'm doing all the things all the time, and it's just who I am. So I had to figure out a way to reconcile that and come to terms with it, not put so much pressure on myself to be in one moment versus another at any given time, but to recognize that these things are sort of inexorably linked, especially if you care about your work as much as I do.
Yeah.
I try to impart the work play axiom on folks and let them play it out in different ways, right? 1 week of vacation a year, all taken consecutively, does not make for a better life.
Yeah.
It's 5 3-day weekends.
I recently moved to a 4-day work week. I just did it formally with the federal government because they offer that concept and roll in, all the financial holidays you're off too. We just came off a 5-day weekend because I took 2 extra days. I think there is a lot of pressure for people to say, well, you have to have the whole week off.
Yeah, I implemented at one of my companies in customer service, and we implemented 410s.
Yeah.
And productivity went through the roof. People were happier. They got to plan their lives around that extra day off. And it worked really, really well. I became a big believer in it.
It's amazing how many dental appointments you can do on a Friday. It's like all of a sudden things open up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, last one, and then we have the lightning round. If you were to create a music group, what type of music would you play? Who do you want to listen to it? And what's the band name?
Oh, God. The Flaming Idiots would be the name. It would probably be a heavy metal mullet wearing band from the 80s or 90s. And it would be, the guys and girls I grew up with. It's our
Right.
kind of,
Right.
it's the hair bands of the 80s and 90s. That's
right. It's the group who knows Sammy Hagar in Van Halen more than they know David Lee Roth, right?
Yes. And the more you drink, the better we sound.
Oh my goodness. All right, so you're going to like this. We're going into the lightning round. So you got to pick one. And the idea here is we're just going to roll through them real fast. They're a little seasonal. So ready?
Mm-hmm.
Pumpkin spice or gingerbread?
Pumpkin spice, even though I don't like either.
All right. Your toilet roll, does the paper go on the front or does the paper go on the back?
Absolutely on the front. It drives me nuts if it's not.
Summer or winter Olympics?
Summer.
Sandals. Can you wear socks or not?
No. And I'm a flip-flop guy.
Flip-flop is okay. Popcorn. Butter or no butter?
Heavy butter.
Heavy butter. Bringing fast food on an airplane. Yes or no?
Absolutely. Do it all the time.
Okay. Roller coaster or water slide?
Water slide.
On your Oreos, do you break them first? Yes or no?
You mean separate them?
Yeah. Do you
Yes.
break them or separate them, or do you?
No, I twist the top off and then eat the middle out. Do the same thing with Pop-Tarts.
I love it. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Rainbow or chocolate sprinkles?
Chocolate.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Okay, you're gonna love this one because you and I have a history. Is the first Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Absolutely.
I actually have an animated GIF of Bruce Willis as one of my screensavers on my phone when I open it up.
You and I know every year we Facebook each other, say, come out to the coast.
Get together, have a few laughs. We're not done. One pillow or two?
Two.
Okay. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Absolutely yes.
Choice, book club or dance lessons?
I have to make a choice, don't I? Book club.
All right. That's it, man. That's all we got. So we were able to get this done relatively quickly. I know you're a busy guy, and it's fantastic that you're contributing to this. And I think the insights.
I'm glad you're doing it, and I'm glad you're healthy, and the family's good. That's all that matters.
Excellent. So everybody, again, Sean Sheppard, thanks so much for joining. This is Andrew Gadomski on the Reciprocity Podcast. We will see you next time. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Reciprocity with AG podcast. You can enjoy more episodes by favoriting the podcast at leading podcast platforms. On behalf of Andrew Gadomski and all our guests, we enjoyed the time spent with you and ask you to consider reciprocating powerful learnings to and from all you meet.